Sports from head to toe. I'm Nick DiDonato alongside my good friend Justin. We got a lot of action tonight, don't we, Justin?
Yes, indeed we do. Tonight we have NBA playoffs. Game 4, Milwaukee Bucks versus Toronto Raptors. Should be a good one. Starts at 8:30 tonight on TNT.
Do you think they're going to come back for a second win?
See, that's just the thing, though. They're down 2-1 right now. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to come back. Giannis is too good. While he can't really shoot, he can really do it all elsewhere, whether it's his defense or his rebounding. So that's why it really depends on not him, but his supporting cast, should we say. So if Brook Lopez has another 29-point game, then yeah, the Milwaukee's easily going to win. But if we have another outstanding performance from Kawhi, or heck, Danny Green actually show up in this playoffs, I mean, I could easily see Toronto taking it, but who knows?
So Giannis is averaging 27 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. It's just something that you can't really compensate for. It's crazy because as a big, when you have 5 assists, it really makes your team just show out.
Right, it really opens up the floor, but he's shooting like a big from the free throw line as well. He is shooting about 60% during these playoffs from the free throw line. That's not something to, get excited about. But like I said before, he can do it all elsewhere, and he has a great supporting cast.
So last night we had our other series, Western Conference Final Series. The Warriors ended up sweeping Portland Trailblazers. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, the Warriors came out to play. They were down. They were missing, obviously, KD, and they were missing Cousins. But they also were missing Iguodala. And with that being said, they had to have the next man up mentality. And that's exactly what they did. Not no-name players, but, I mean, they gave Jordan Bell the start. He got 7 points in 14 minutes of play. But Kevon Looney, he got a double-double in the win, and he really helped them set the tone as they out-rebounded the Trailblazers by 9.
So Draymond Green and Steph Curry were the first pair of players on the same team to have triple-doubles in a playoff game in history of the NBA in the playoffs. So Steph Curry had 37 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists. Draymond Green ended the night with 18 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists with 2 blocks and 3 steals. That's something we might never see again. What is your take on that?
Yeah, it's definitely something we're never going to see again. As it is, I mean, yes, we have players like Russell Westbrook that are triple-double machines, but not many players can get a triple-double, let alone on the same team in the playoffs. If we look, I mean, yes, like other players, like if Paul George, let's say, he can get a triple-double, but at the same time with him and Westbrook getting one, it's going to be really rare. So with that being said, Draymond Green, he can get a triple-double every now and then. Same thing with Steph Curry if he actually rebounds the ball instead of just shooting it. So it's more than likely not going to happen again, but if it does, it's probably on a team with LeBron.
So when a lot of people look at the final score of this game, they see just the Warriors win by 2 in overtime, but the name of the game was the Trailblazers blew another big lead in the first. They had a big lead in the first half, came out in the third, they played a good third quarter, and the fourth quarter they just lost it. And it's just a team effort. I mean, Leonard, not the best Leonard in the playoffs, but he had 30 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. Damian Lillard had 28 points, 12 assists, 4 rebounds. CJ McCollum had 26 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, they played well, but they weren't there when it counted. They needed to step up. They blew the lead. They didn't cover.
Right, that's just it, Nick. You hit well on those stats, but outside of those guys, the next highest scorer had 10 points. I mean, yes, you can run a whole offense through three guys as the Warriors used to do back in the heyday, but it's not a recipe for winning all the time, especially when you're going up to a team like the Golden State where they have Draymond, who's a pretty solid defender. Clay, he can defend any guard for the most part, but at the same time, it all goes about just how you have your set up game plan for the game, and if any good strategy works, obviously they end up winning. But the thing is, though, is they were down, I believe it was 17 points, and they came back to win. Golden State did. But the Trailblazers, it was a 2-point game at the end, but the Trailblazers had plenty of opportunities to win this game. They missed, I believe it was 2 shots in the last 25 or 30 seconds of the game, and plus they missed a lot of crucial shots in overtime. So it was on the plate for them. They just couldn't even take it.
Right. Al-Farouq Aminu had 0 points. There's something to put in perspective of not scoring enough. He started the game at power forward.
Right, yeah. I mean, he averages 9 points on the year. I mean, he's nothing, he's not a big name, a household name player, especially here on the East Coast. But, I mean, other players got to step it up. Enes Kanter, I know you're kind of hurt. You can put up some good minutes and some good, some shots every now and then. I mean, he went 3 for 4. He was somewhat efficient, granted small numbers, but I think they should have played him a little bit more, considering.
Now, something that goes almost unseen in the loss is that Miles Leonard has had 30 points in the loss. And, I mean, that's a high. That's his playoff high. And that's something that is really going unseen in the playoffs. I mean, I'm sure ESPN's probably given it a lot of exposure, but that, as a big, that was something they needed. They needed a big on the rebounds, but they got out-rebounded by a ridiculous amount. They got out-rebounded by... The Warriors had 67 rebounds, and the Trailblazers had 44. They got out-rebounded by 9 rebounds on the offense. They had 15 rebounds, the Warriors did, on offense, and the Trailblazers had 6. And it's something that the Trailblazers lack. It's people going, fighting for the ball, getting rebounds. They don't come down with balls.
Right, that's a thing they really need to address in the offseason if they want to make it to the finals, is getting a big guy. And who knows, we'll maybe see it in a draft, we'll maybe see free agency, we don't know that yet. But as a whole, they got out-rebounded by 15, which is just, it's absurd.
Because the stats are here for the Blazers. They won in the field goal percentage. It was 48% to 46%. They won in the 3-point percentage. It was 39% to 30%. And then the rebounds just stand out. It's just...
Right. Well, that was the thing with the 70% from the free throw line. They weren't even getting to the line at all. They only attempted 10 shots from the free throw line compared to Golden State's 19. Now, even Golden State's, I mean, that's like an average number. And, any night it could be anyway. It depends just how the type of play is. But they definitely should have just came up with something better to do. Attack the rim more, honestly. Because you have great players on that team. I mean, yes, probably one of the best NBA players' brother is on the team. I mean... At least use him more. I mean, he played 14 minutes and he scored 1 point because he only shot 1 shot, which was a 3. I mean, utilize your guys more,
Right. One thing that will be interesting is both of the teams in the East both have people. They're both good rebounding teams that can score. I mean, at will, but it really just comes down to the stars. It comes down to Giannis. It comes down to Middleton on the Bucks. But then it comes down to Kawhi. It comes down to Danny Green, Pascal Siakam. It comes down to them. But the name of the game for the Warriors was they really just blew them out of the water on rebounds. They blew them out of the waters on converting their free throws, all of that. And both the teams in the East, the Bucks and the Raptors, they have to see this and say we need to do a better job than the Trailblazers of not getting out rebounded by the Warriors.
Right, yes. It's the whole philosophy, East versus West in the NBA. It's two different styles of basketball in a sense. I mean, yes, the Warriors and Trailblazers kind of play the same. I mean, obviously don't shoot as many threes. And look, even the Rockets, they set the record for the most threes attempted in the NBA. Also, with Nick's comments regarding Milwaukee, yeah, they're very lanky. They can easily out rebound any team. I mean, you got Giannis and you got Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is what, 7 feet? Giannis is at least over 6'10". I mean, those are two guys right there that are just absolute freaks of nature on the court at the same time generally. So nothing's getting by them, one, and nothing is. No scrawny Steph Curry standing at 6'3" is going to at least attempt to out-rebound them.
Right. And Giannis in the playoffs, I mean, he's averaging 13 rebounds a game. So I don't think anybody is going to take him lightly in the paint. I mean, they shouldn't.
Right. He also set that another record, the most rebounds in a playoff game with 23. He had in Game 3.
So moving on to football. Didn't think we'd be talking about football in May, but there's actually some good stuff coming on. Right, Bun?
Indeed we have. So free agency, great time to get new players to help improve your team every year and during the season too. New updates here on the free agency field. We have Julian Edelman. He got a 2-year deal with $12 million guaranteed and an $8 million signing bonus. And also, about an hour ago, around 2:30, we have Ndamukong Suh. He signed a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He should be replacing Gerald McCoy. And I've got a little funny stat here for you. The Bucs have replaced the 3rd overall pick from 2010 with the 2nd overall pick from 2010. Yes, they're both the same position, and I mean, for the somewhat equally productive. I mean, yes, Suh's a great guy. He could take on double teams easily, but McCoy is right behind him. They're neck and neck in terms of sacks committed by a defensive tackle. As we know, Suh was picked one spot ahead of Gerald McCoy, and Suh has exactly 1.5 sacks more than McCoy. So, I mean, in that draft, there wasn't really much a drop-off in between the 2nd and 3rd pick. I mean, that's pretty impressive considering they're the same position. They're both, I wouldn't say respected guys in the league because Suh does some interesting things on the field, but they're both good at what they do, great run stoppers. They can get after the quarterback at times, and their production is almost equally the same.
If I had to make a prediction, I would probably say the Browns are going to get him because they traded Emmanuel Ogbah earlier this offseason. So I'd really look for the Browns to jump on that. But I mean, their D line is top tier right now, and I mean they're just trying to acquire the pieces to make their line just that much more unstoppable.
Right. So we're gonna go from free agency here to training camp. As we know, yesterday Reuben Foster, I believe 3rd-year player out of Alabama, linebacker position, he tore his ACL during OTAs. It's a shame. He's a great player. This was his second chance as he was arrested for off-the-field issues as he was a 49er. I mean, he plays well. He's always been battling injuries through his whole career. but he really plays well. He has a nose for the football. He'll get you 10, 12 tackles a game easily with just a blink of an eye. But it's tough to see that his second chance is coming up short with this injury here. Hopefully he gets a nice and speedy recovery.
Yeah, it seems like it happens every year that somebody just goes down in training camp to an injury like this. It's you really just don't like to see it. It's something that is awful because he's likely going to be out for the season, and he got a second chance with the Redskins, and it's something you just don't like to see because you saw on like all over ESPN and NFL Network, you saw him getting carted off, the passion in his face. It's just something you just don't like to see.
So in other news, Chad Kelly got picked up by the Colts. This is his second NFL team after the Broncos drafted him in his draft class, as he was drafted in the last pick with a Mr. Irrelevant tag put to his name. It's a shame. Kid's a great player, great athlete. He came from Ole Miss. He really lit up the field, but off-the-field issues always tend to bug NFL players.
Also, a fun fact about Chad Kelly is he's a product of Eastern Mississippi Community College. Last Chance U, if anybody out there watching Last Chance U.
Yes. Other reactions and actions happening in the NFL the past few days is Chris Long announced his retirement. This comes after, I guess, a disappointing year after winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles, and then the next year, they don't do as well. He's going out, not the best way, but he's going out on good terms. And Nick has another great player to announce their retirement.
Sebastian Janikowski retires after 19 years of service in the NFL. One of the greatest kickers, in my opinion. This guy's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
He's absolutely automatic, the lefty.
So something that came up the other day. Pro Football Focus had a NFL's top 25 players under 25. It's a list of 25 players in the NFL under the age of 25. They have some quarterbacks, some wide receivers, some running backs. Here are some of the names that some people would expect. Quarterbacks, it's Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson. Wide receiver, Juju Smith. Then the running backs really caught our eye. The running backs, obviously Alvin Kamara. He's a big name that some would expect. Saquon Barkley, who a rookie, still some to improve. Not proven yet. Then Kareem Hunt. Now, this list is supposed to be for people 25 players under the age of 25 for the previous season. So Kareem Hunt played the last season. Kareem Hunt played a total of 11 games. Now, there's some other names out there that are under the age of 20. So Kareem Hunt is 23. There are some other names out there that are under the age of 25 that some people are raising some eyebrows about that aren't on this list. So Kareem Hunt's highlights and awards, he has one Pro Bowl. And he has 1 year in 2017, which is also the year he made the Pro Bowl, that he led the NFL with rushing. So there's other people in the NFL that are under the age of 25 that some people are raising their eyebrows about. So what is your take on that, Justin?
I I know I live on the East Coast, but have they forgot about the West Coast man that pounds the rock like it's nothing? Todd Gurley. This man is unbelievable. And now that in the past season or so, he's catching the ball more and more. I mean, he's a all-purpose back in a sense. I mean, yes, he could run the ball. He'll torch you 130 yards a game easily. But now he's getting in some games where he has 70 or 80 receiving yards, kind of like a David Johnson type. And so Todd Gurley, I mean, he can make the requirements because the only requirement really other than being good is you have to be under 25 because he's 24. I mean, listen to some of these accolades. He is a 3-time Pro Bowl, 2-time first-team All-Pro, and he also made the second-team All-Pro. That was his off year. He was the Offensive Player of the Year in 2017. He's a rushing touchdowns leader the past 2 years. Obviously, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, this man has 56 touchdowns in 3 years of playing. That's pretty remarkable considering, yes, he was highly touted recruit going to Georgia and highly touted draft as he was drafted in the first round. But, I mean, he's actually producing unlike some other first-round draft picks that, just fall off a cliff. But I believe he deserves that spot because, one, everybody knows about him because he's good, not just because he's a big name and he does the bare minimum, but he actually shows up to work every day. And, I mean, many fans just love him because he's a great running back for a pretty good team that at least made it to the Super Bowl. I mean, they didn't show up, but they made it to the Super Bowl this year. Nick, what do you think? Who do you think the running back should be?
I honestly think that Ezekiel Elliott is absolutely getting robbed here. Ezekiel Elliott is a 2-time Pro Bowler. His first year in the league, I take that back. His second year in the league, he makes the Pro Bowl. His second year in the league, he leads in rushing yards. And then last year, he's a Pro Bowler. Last year, he leads in rushing yards, and he played 15 games. Kareem Hunt did not do that. Kareem Hunt did not do that. I can promise you that. Kareem Hunt has 1 Pro Bowl appearance, and he has 1 NFL rushing yards. He led the NFL once in rushing yards. So, to be honest with you, I think Ezekiel Elliott's getting robbed. He had 1,400 yards rushing last year. He had 6 touchdowns. He had 73 first downs, and he only played 15 games. He didn't play the full season. Saturday night, if you didn't hear, you probably felt it because there was a shockwave. There was an absolute shockwave in the Barclays Center because Deontay Wilder set a fire in the heavyweight division in boxing because this man is an absolute monster in that division. He's 6'7". He's got an 83-inch reach, and he's 225 pounds. He's 41, has 0 losses and 1 draw, and he's got 40 knockouts. Let that sink in. He's got 2 fights that aren't knockouts. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk coming into this fight. I mean, it was kind of getting personal somewhat. It seemed like it was going to be a good one. I mean, his opponent was pretty good as well. He had a great record, not as good as what he had, but this man's almost unstoppable in a sense. I mean, like Nick said, 2 fights that he's had where he hasn't gotten a knockout. I mean, he literally wants to kill a guy, as his quote said. Nick, what was his quote again?
Boxing is a sport where you can kill a man and get paid for it.
That's crazy. He's just an animal. He can literally rip someone's head off if he really wanted to. I mean, this dude's a must-watch. Next time he fights, I don't know if he has a set date yet, but next time he fights, it is a must-watch because he's in the heavyweight division and he's just unloading on dudes. He's getting knockouts left and right. I mean, the best part of boxing is honestly watching the knockouts because it's pretty impressive.
Wilder's walkout was longer than the actual fight. And, I mean, he put him away in dramatic fashion, and it was crazy to see. I mean, Wilder has over 20 fights. Over 20 of Wilder's fights are ended in the first round by way of knockout. And that's what people pay for, is to see Wilder fight because they know they're going to see something special. And that's what they got this fight. They got a first round knockout, and it's almost the reason why Showtime made it for free, because they knew it was going to be so quick. It was a first round knockout, almost, I think, 2.5 minutes into the first round. It was the free fight of the night on Showtime. But, I mean, this guy is absolutely insane. Something that heavyweight hasn't seen for a long, long time in boxing. Since maybe Tyson. I mean, this guy is special.